Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. I know it's been a little bit. I had a little bit of a sickness there for a few days, bad throat infection and stuff. So haven't been making videos regularly, but trying to get things going again. And I'm back out in the shop. And what you're looking at here is Adolpho's Jeep. I got the engine in, transmission, transfer case. I'm just going over a lot of stuff. Adolpho had tried to put a lot of stuff together and going through stuff. A lot of it is wrong. I had to pull out the bell crank and the pin and stuff. That was all mangled up. I did get him a generator finally. Putting a distributor in because his distributor was busted. And you know, we're getting there on this one. Should be firing this one up shortly. I still got brake lines that don't fit. I don't know where exactly he got his brake lines, but you know, a lot of stuff just doesn't even reach. So I got to go through the brake lines. I got to get the pedals in and you know, dry shafts and stuff, and then lube everything up. But I am making progress on this one, and just trying to undo a lot of stuff that was not done correctly. So more on this one coming, and I'm going to try and go over everybody's project, let everybody know where they're at, so you can see what's going on. I did have a couple nice days where I got some sandblasting done, and let's go take a look at that scrambler frame. Didn't come out as nice as I thought it was gonna, but let's go take a look at it. Okay guys, got the scrambler frame on the lift, and on the underside, I'm gonna try and get you in there. Everywhere there should be threads. This is where your spring hanger and your steering mounts bolt to. The threads are all gone. I'm gonna have to open this up on the inside, put some threads in there. Same thing on the other side. Everything is broken. These are the bolts, completely rusted in there. That's for the sway bar. And I think this may have had a plow on it at some point. There's some real big dents in the frame and stuff. Let's take a look down here. There's some real big holes here. You guys can see that. There's so much junk in this frame. It's full from the bottom to the top with wet mud and rust. So this whole area is going to have to be addressed. The holes, the holes that hold the skid plate, all the bolts are broken up in there. You know, you could reach in anywhere, and the frame is just a mess inside. We got more holes here, and down the frame that way. In this back section you can see is really, I mean, this whole area is paper thin. I think you can see all the holes we got in there. Pretty big one right there. This, you could see, is no good. I have a new one of these already, so we'll put that in there. It's kind of a mess in here. Let's get around here. I have a new rear cross member, and every one of these mounts is going to have to be addressed. And I do have new mounts. I don't like how they welded this hitch on. We'll figure something out a little nicer than that. But the frame, it looked okay when it had paint on it. I didn't realize it was as bad as it is. It may have been worth getting a new frame, but they take so long to get. I'm just going to stick with this one and fix it. There's a lot of metal's got to come out here. I have to open up somewhere and completely wash out the inside of the frame and then coat it with a I don't know, fluid film or something to keep the rust. I mean, it is packed with mud and rust the whole length of the frame. So, a little disappointing. I don't know if you can see in there. You can't even... Let's see if I can get you in there. I mean, you can see it's solid packed with junk. So, I got to open the frame up in various places anyway. I've got a lot of patching to do, and I've got a lot of broken bolts to get out. So, kind of a setback, but I knew it needed a few things, but didn't realize it was going to be this bad. But don't worry, Scott. I will make sure this is safe for another 100 years of use. It's just going to take a little bit more time. So, while we're on Scott's stuff, I did get the front end finally apart, and I got it epoxy primed yesterday. So we'll get the 373s in there, and then once the two axles are done, hopefully I won't be too much longer on the frame. We can have a rolling chassis for you. But that's what's going on with the Scrambler, and let's go take a look at some engines. Okay guys, here's Tom's engine. Now when this engine came in, Tom had already taken it all apart. Did a nice job taking it apart and labeling everything, and I thought it was going to be a fairly straightforward rebuild. Number 1 and number 2 are finished. Well, not finished. We'll talk more about that. Number 3 and 4 look pretty good. I'm going to tell you what happened in number 1 and 2 with some diagrams and stuff. I'm going to have to revisit the crank, and I'm going to have to really check out those rods to make sure we don't have any twisted rods. You know, sometimes when you don't get to take things apart, you might miss stuff. And I started boring. I figured I'd just get away with... I knew I wasn't going to get it in 60. This engine was 40, and it was a really, really whipped out 40. The top part, you know, all cylinders wear like an ice cream cone. The bottom doesn't wear much, and the top wears in a cone shape. So this was 40, and let's go over to the bench, and we'll talk about some numbers. Okay, guys, this is what I measured at the top of the cylinders. And again, it's just a quick rough thing, and I said, well, I'll just jump in there and clean things up at the smallest piston I can. Now, number 1 was 3-inch 175, and number 2 was the worst, 3-inch 185. Number 3 and number 4 are not too bad. You could see at 3-inch 165, you know, I could maybe clean that up and get away with an 80. So I started on number 1, and that wasn't cleaning up. I'm going to show you kind of a picture, exaggerated picture of what's going on with number 1. And number 2, right now, I'm already at 60 over. Now, it was 40 over at the bottom. It's 60 over at the top. So I figured I could cruise through with 80 over pistons. Well, that didn't work out. Okay, this is what number 1 looked like. I had 40 here, and I had almost 60 here. I couldn't clean up from the top to about 1/3 of the way down. This area was a disaster on both sides. I could not get that cleaned up. So, I almost got it in 80. I had a shadow here and a shadow here. I didn't want to leave that at 80, and I still needed to do number 2 and see where number 2 was at. Now let me show you number 2. This is exaggerated. Okay, now on an engine, crank's turning this way. As you're facing the engine, crank's turning this way. This is your maximum thrust side right here. This is when your piston goes up that way, that's your maximum thrust, this is your minimum thrust side here. Well, it put such a belly in number 2. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if the crank's out of whack. I don't think it is. Or I don't know if a rod is twisted or something's bad. But at 80, I still had a huge... I mean, I wasn't even cutting on this right in there. So, like I say, 1 and 2, horrible. 3 and 4 are fine. So, there's only one thing to do, and that's sleeve this guy. So I have number 1 and 2 prepped for sleeves. Number 2 cleaned up at 3-inch 700. I mean, that's crazy. I need to go for the sleeves. The sleeves are 3-inch 315 OD, and I'm boring 3-inch 313 for a 2000s press fit. Number 1 and 2 are done. I still, I can't just sleeve 1 and 2. I got to sleeve everything. I was not expecting any of this on Tom's engine. It's just, you know, I started boring and stuff just was not cleaning up. I never expected it on that engine. So I'm going to have to do some investigation because we don't want to have that happen again. So I'm going to put the crankshaft in a stand and indicate it and make sure we're not out of whack. I'll see exactly how much the crankshaft took off his crank, see if maybe the journals were out of round or something's going on in Tom's engine. I don't know what it came out of, and like I say, I didn't get a chance to take it apart, but we're going to dig deeper into that and see what's going on. So that's what's going on with Tom's engine. Okay, here's Jonathan's MB engine. I got all the guides pressed in there. I got the intake valves in there. I'm waiting on some exhaust valves. And I started peeking down his cylinders. Remember, I had to really bust out the pistons on this guy. So just for the hell of it, I ordered enough sleeves for, I think, for 4 engines. It's because it seems like every engine that comes in here now is a problem. This MB, and MBs and GPWs, sometimes you start boring these guys too much and you break through the cylinder. And we got some real bad gouges. You're probably not going to be able to see them. We got some real bad gouges way down there. I don't think I'm going to clean this one up either, so I'm pretty sure we're going to have to sleeve Jonathan's engine. So, sleeves are coming. I've got Steve's engine over here. 3-angle valve job is finished, and everything's been vacuumed down. You can see those valves jumping. Valves are done, and cylinders have been done for a while now. This has sleeves in it, and this is ready for final cleaning and assembly now. So Steve's coming along, and I got another engine in for another guy, for Larry, and we'll go take a look at that next. Okay, I opened up the crate that Larry sent his engine in. And it looks like we got a GPW head on a later engine. Not sure what's going on there. It looks like he sent me an Onyx gasket kit. That's about the worst gasket kit out there, Larry. If you want me to use it, I will, but I do not recommend it. I do not recommend any of their parts or anything. And looks like we've got a box with a carburetor and maybe some Pertronics in there. So this one's going to have to come out, and we'll make an assessment and start working on that one. I did get this is the engine out of that CJ5, that 66 CJ5 that came from New York. That was my uncle's. And this was a bear to come apart. Everything was frozen. Pistons were frozen. Valves were frozen. I've got all the parts here pretty sludgy in the pan. But things don't look too bad. But we'll go after things and see what's what. Get everything cleaned up. Here is an axle bench with Jonathan's axles finally apart. Jonathan, I had a hard time getting your drums off, and I'm going to try and save your drums, but if you have any brake backing plates, 3 of yours are ruined. I can't use them. They're either rusted through or the shoes came peeling off and broke them. If you have any backing plates, I need 4 of them. These aren't terrible inside, and we'll get boogieing on these as soon as some more bearings come in. But I do need backing plates. I might have some, but I got to take axles apart. If you have any free ones laying around, that would be fantastic. We're going to need it. Not right now. I still got a lot of setup to do, but when it comes time for brakes, I'm going to need some backing plates, and good ones. Like I say, these are really tender. They're really messed up. So keep your eye out for some of those. We're going to need 4. Okay, guys, it's crazy cold. We've got a cold snap moving through here, below 0 temperatures and stuff. But I did get the Luzon Red for Tom's CJ3A, and next week I think is going to be somewhere in the 50s, and it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time to paint. My cold and sinuses should be okay, hopefully by next week, where I could put a respirator back on. It's been hard to breathe, so I haven't been doing any painting. And got a sample I'll try and show you of the spruce tip green metallic that's going on that CJ5. Let me see if I can get a sample out there on a piece of metal or something for you so you can take a peek at it. Okay, guys, hard to see. Paper's soaking it up all weird, but that is an exact match for 66 CJ5 spruce tip green metallic. Now, I'm not going with a single stage on that. I'm going with a base clear. Single stage metallic, I can't get the quality of paint that I want. And if you want to cut and buff single stage metallic, it's really tricky. Much easier to use a base clear. So I'm going to do a base clear on that. And that is, let's go over here and take a look at the original color. Okay, there's the original color on the dash. And yeah, there's the original color on the back. So we hit it right on perfectly, and that project is kind of moving. Haven't been showing much of it, but it's kind of moving pretty quickly now. I've got some things going on, and I'm going to get the engine finished, transmission, transfer case finished, and I had the axles finished, and I gave the frame a quick dusting, and I've got some stuff to do on that, and we'll have a rolling chassis pretty shortly on that guy. Here's all stuff that's got to go in that 30, and I've done enough 30s where I think you guys got the hang of that by now. We're going to just cruise right through this for Scott and get things going. So there's a lot going on, and I'm trying to keep up with everything, and just, only so much I could do every day. But I'm making progress on things, and everybody should be getting their stuff back, as soon as it's done. Engines, at least. Got a bunch to still do on the scrambler, but trying to get them out as fast as I can. Okay guys, I'm going to show you what I wound up with on Tom's block here. Cylinder number 1, I got a 2000s press fit set up, and the cylinder's good. Cylinder number 2, at about 80, right at about 80 thousandths, just a hair more than 80 thousandths, we got that crack in there. We went right through the bore there. I got about a 2.5 thousandths press fit there. We'll use some sealer on that one. Number 3 looks real good. And number 4, we picked up that hole in the cylinder, just over 80 thousandths. So I feel a lot better that I didn't get this to work out at 80, because the wall thickness would have been so thin. So on these guys with cracks, on this one I got almost a 3 thousandths fit. That's a pretty big hole there. A little bit more press fit on ones that have cracks or holes in them or whatever. And we'll use some sealer on those. And then when Tom goes to start this, best thing to do is put some radiator stop leak, some head and block seal. If there's any tiny little space between the sleeve and that hole, it'll seal it up. So, like I say, that number 2, there was something really going on in number 2 there. I don't know. That's a long crack in that one, and that came up early. So I don't know exactly what's happening, but we'll get the sleeves in there. Like I say, 2 thousandths, 2.5 thousandths, 2 thousandths, and 3 thousandths for press fits. You know, it just depends on what you're doing. You got to adjust your press fit for what the cylinder is like. So sleeves aren't here yet. Like I say, I got a bunch coming in because I know I'm going to need them. You just sometimes run into these with these old blocks. You just don't know, what's going to happen sometimes. But don't worry, Tom. We'll get those sleeves in there and start boring it back to standard and honing it and making everything right for you. Okay, guys. We're just going to let this engine sit until we get the sleeves. Then we'll get the engine heated up. We'll put the sleeves in the freezer, and we'll go ahead with the press fit on that. And then we'll start boring and honing and stuff and fitting pistons. And the only thing I wanted to show you to end this video is the hood from that 66 CJ5. I don't know if you can see it real good. Yeah, got a huge dent here, all the way over to here. And I don't have much of the original sheet metal left on that Jeep, but anybody's interested, I can show you how we get that dent out and fix everything so that we don't need any filler in there. It'll be an all metal repair. We'll knock it back into shape and then shrink it into place with the shrinking disc. So I got it as clean as I can get it. Metal was starting to move around too much for me to keep hitting it with sand. Even a real steep angle, I just couldn't keep that from moving around. So the rest of the rust removal will have to be done with a gel or a liquid. It's not too terrible. There's that dent from the inside, you can see. But we'll get this back in shape. And I know I haven't been doing too much sheet metal work, but if anybody's interested in still seeing that kind of stuff, just put a comment below, let me know, and I can show it to you. So, just getting some crankshafts ready. Should be starting to assemble some engines pretty soon. And got parts and pieces to various engines everywhere. And we'll get more on that probably next week sometime. Supposed to get some decent weather next week, so I'm going to try and get Tom finished up. Get his 3A in Luzon red, and I'll take you along so you can see that. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.